Hello, my name is Aiden Topping, and today I will be talking about exercise as prescription medicine. Exercise has always influenced the human brain, especially those with mental disorders. Exercising can be very polarizing. Some find it to be a moment of peace in a chaotic atmosphere, while others see it as a stressful, anxiety-inducing experience. When I go to the gym, I find it calming, a great way to reduce any anxiety or take my mind off any depressive symptoms I may have been dealing with for the moment. However, I know someone who has much more severe mental disorders than myself, and their experience with exercising was much different than mine. It was nothing but detrimental to their mental health, as it would seemingly cause panic attacks a majority of the time. Mental health practitioners will typically use exercise as a prescription for those with mental disorders, but with so many variables out there, is it really all that reliable? Through my research, I will be informing you about the prescription of exercise for mental health. As the popularity of gym culture increases, it is important to be wary of possible side effects it can have on those who are mentally ill. Social media creates an implausible standard for those looking to get involved in the gym. Younger exercisers or those who aren't as informed can easily get caught up in the smoke and mirrors of gym culture. Even I, 1 year into lifting, find myself yearning to obtain that level and doubting myself frequently. For the average person, this may be an inconvenience at most, but consider someone who has genuine chemical imbalances in their brain and suffers from mental disorders. They may experience this much more intensely than the average person. Medical practitioners have commonly used exercise as a prescription for those suffering with mental health disorders. However, a sample done in 2018 reported more than 70% of mental health practitioners prescribed consistent exercise for those with depression and anxiety, but there was a discrepancy when it came to prescribing those with more serious issues, such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. It showed how infrequently exercise was prescribed to those with severe mental disorders, such as schizophrenia and bipolar. They were prescribed 11.1% and 11.8% of the times. According to Kristen Way, the experiment also uncovered 6 barriers in this practice: clients' practitioner barriers and perspectives, 41.7%, practitioners' knowledge and perspectives, 33.2%, a lack of organizational support and resources, 9.9%, exercise would not be beneficial to the client's particular circumstance, 7%, lack of community support and resources, 6.4%, and the client already participates in sufficient amounts of exercise, 1.9%. What I gathered from the study was exercise is seemingly inefficient when it comes to these more severe mental disorders. Whether it's from a lack of participation or a misunderstanding on the practitioner's part, there are too many undisclosed variables to be describing as an alternative to medicine. As someone who deals with anxiety and symptoms of depression, other than momentarily distracting me, consistent exercise hasn't ever been a long-term solution to those problems. My personal love for the gym is what allows exercise to momentarily relieve me from the anxiety experience. However, it doesn't solve it for the remainder of the day, for example. To stray away from the original topic, another facet I find interesting about the connection between exercise and mental health is the potentially unhealthy obsession that could be built from it. As previously mentioned, gym culture become somewhat toxic with social media and the standards being skewed in favor of those who are more aesthetic. Personally, my love for the gym can cause my depression to get worse. I was having a depressive episode, lacking energy to go to the gym, and in turn felt worse about myself. Something people with depression need is something fulfilling. Muscle dysmorphia is common in gym users and can be a gateway to eating disorders. According to Stuart Murray, the Compulsive Exercise Test, or CET, a self-reported survey with the intention of finding out why one is a compulsive exerciser, showed that 60 male participants, more than 3/4 of the entire survey, either had anorexia nervosa or muscle dysmorphia. Perhaps one could attest that exercise is a sufficient prescription for those who suffer with less severe mental illnesses, such as anxiety or depression. According to Beckman, Danielle, and Luis Eduardo Santos, physical exercise has been shown to have positive effects on mood, learning, and memory in humans, and neurotransmitter availability is also modulated by exercise. However, the chemical reaction the brain undergoes during exercise is not as researched as I had previously assumed. My prior knowledge led me to believe that the release of serotonin that happens as a result of the experience was what reduced the effect of depression. While the increased availability of serotonin released from exercising is thought to have a similar effect as antidepressants, investigations have only been done on rat brains, thus leaving us with no true idea of the relationship it has for humans. While exercise may be good for one's physical health, in turn potentially making themselves happier with themselves, Based on the research provided, I once again wouldn't advise solely relying on exercise as a medicine. The lack of testing human correlation perpetuates a skeptical view on the release of neurotransmitters in the brain due to exercise. Similar to the reaction of those skeptical of the COVID-19 vaccine, the lack of substantial research we have leaves me hesitant to trust exercise as a prescription. Regardless of the research we do have showing it can be plausible for those with anxiety and depression, the barriers in the practice also lead me to believe that the medical field would be better off opting for a solution more concrete. The interesting thing about my research is that as an avid exerciser and gym lover, I initially believed my research would have led me to find that weightlifting would have been a solve-all response. My research most certainly contradicts my typical frequency in the gym with my anxiety, leading me to come to the conclusion that while exercise is undoubtedly beneficial, it is not a competent replacement for medicine such as antidepressants.